Awesome. All right. Well, thank you everybody for stopping in today to hear a little bit more about the Cyprus programs. My name is Matt Spores. I am the head of enrollment for the University of Nicosia's Global Semesters programs. I'm also an alum of the program as well. So I did a full semester in Cyprus more than a couple of years ago at this point. So today I'm going to go ahead and share my screen first. I do like to start off with a little bit of an introduction into Cyprus as a country. Again, as a U.S. student who studied abroad in Cyprus, I know that its location that isn't the most well known for our U.S. students. So I'll tell you a little bit about Cyprus, then I'll tell you a little bit about the university, some specific information about our programming offerings, tell you a little bit about the housing and the area of where our university is located. And then if there's any questions at the end, feel free to either unmute yourself or just to type in the chat as well. All right, so let me jump in. So, for those of you that don't know, Cyprus is a Mediterranean island. We're to the south of Greece and Turkey. Culturally, Cyprus feels very similar to Greece. They do speak Greek. They eat a lot of Greek food. They literally drink coffee all day and all night. I don't really know how they go to sleep. So, huge coffee culture. But with that being said, it is a sovereign country. It's part of the EU. It was ranked the safest country in the world for young adults to travel to by the World Health Organization. It is a very popular tourist destination for Europeans. So we get about 4 million tourists annually. And for some perspective on that, only about 1 million people live on the island. So we get about 4 times our population tourist every year. The reason being, obviously, safety is important, but Cyprus is also the sunniest country in Europe, has about 20% of the top beaches in Europe. And of course, it's in the Mediterranean, so it's pretty nice weather all year round. The other nice thing is that Cyprus is also a former British colony. So again, I mentioned that it is heavily Greek influenced. You'll see Greek on signs. You'll hear people speaking Greek. It is their first language. But Cyprus is a former British colony. So because of that, about 80% of the population speaks English. And I spend a good amount of time in Cyprus. I don't speak any Greek. And the reason being, areas where our students typically find themselves, like the capital of Nicosia, where we're located, the other large towns and cities, the beach towns, of course, just about everybody speaks English. It's actually harder to find somebody that doesn't speak English versus somebody that does. So it's very easy to get around. It's easy to ask for directions. It's easy to meet locals and make friends, which is great. Cyprus as a whole is pretty cosmopolitan. The downtown of Nicosia has a lot of hustle and bustle. All the major U.S. financial firms have Chicago-sized offices in Nicosia. So again, lots of hustle and bustle in the downtown. But at the same time, it's still a Mediterranean island. You still catch those quote unquote island vibes. If you're going to meet a local for coffee and you're waiting for 10, 15 minutes for them to show up, they probably didn't ditch you. They're just running late. And also, if you're meeting a local for coffee, be prepared to sit there for 2 hours and have a coffee with them and just chat. Again, they do kind of run on island time. Being on time for social events just isn't as important. And they're also very hospitable people. Once you get to know Cypriots, they're very talkative. They want to know everything about why you're in Cyprus and how you got there, and all that good stuff. So again, they're very, very friendly and hospitable. Cost-wise, Nicosia, obviously, again, capital, European capital city. It's a very cost-effective European capital city. When I talk about budgeting, I usually tell students for food prices, taxi prices, things like that, going out prices. I usually budget as if I was here in the States because it is very comparable. Unlike a lot of other kind of more well-known U.S. or European capitals for our U.S. students, Cyprus is pretty cost effective. A couple other quick things about Nicosia. We are ranked the #1 small European city of the future for human capital lifestyle, ahead of places like Oxford, Geneva, and Basel. Essentially, it's a young city, it's a wealthy city, and it's a very safe location as well. We were also ranked just a couple years ago as one of the top 10 places to visit in the world by Lonely Planet. If you're not familiar with Lonely Planet, they put out all the travel guides for all the different cities and the countries, and they ranked Nicosia as one of the top 10 places to visit in 2022. A little bit about who we are. So we're the University of Nicosia. We are the largest university in all of Southern Europe that teaches primarily in English. Couple quick stats here. We're ranked number 157 in the entire EU. We're the top 2% of universities in the world. If anybody was sitting on this meeting earlier, we were talking a little bit about blockchain. We're ranked #1 in the world for blockchain and crypto asset education. We are the first to offer a course, the first to offer a master's degree, first to graduate students. we're the first to put all of our degree certificates onto the blockchain. So if anybody is interested in blockchain, we're definitely a great place to learn about that. Structurally, we're more similar to an American university rather than a traditional continental European university. The reason being, we're a private university. We predate the public university by years, the first public university on the island by years. So when we got our first accreditation, it actually first came from the US. So because of that, we do structurally have a lot of similar features as an American university. So a 4.0 grading scale, a 4-year bachelor's degree program, which in Europe tends to be, continental Europe tends to be about 3 years. Contact hours for courses are very similar as well. So again, it's very easy to get courses to transfer back. A lot of our partner universities have a pretty easy time getting courses approved for their students just because of the similarities between the structures of our universities. We have about 14,500 students at the university from all over the world. Some of the areas where we're most known regionally, so medicine. In general, we are very strong in STEM. Anything health related, we're very strong in. We had the first medical school on the island. It's actually very interesting. We have both 2 degrees. We have the European degree as well as the American degree. So we actually have a lot of American medical students at the university. They have over a 99% placement rate when they go back to the States for residency. We're very strong in law, international relations. We're very strong specifically in Eastern Mediterranean studies. Accounting, per capita, there is more accountants in Cyprus than anywhere else in the entire world. So we're very strong in accounting, architecture, and as I mentioned, blockchain technology. As a whole, the university is very focused on the fourth industrial revolution. So things like blockchain, AI, virtual reality, augmented reality, virtual medicine, things like that. I'll show you a little bit about the university. I'll show you the area of the university in just a minute. There are over 160 different degree programs, and definitely a unique aspect of our programs for anybody that's looking for a semester program. Because the whole university is taught almost completely in English, you're not just taking courses with the other US study abroad students. You're taking courses with the local Cypriot and Greek students, as well as the other European study abroad students and students from all over the world actually studying at the university. So it's very immersive. Again, I can tell you from firsthand experience with somebody that did a semester in Cyprus. I made a lot of friends from all over the world. My socials were never the same again, which was very cool. Again, just a couple quick stats. Again, top 2% of universities worldwide. Here's just a snapshot of where all of our students come from. Again, you'll see a good amount of students from the US and Canada. That is not just our study abroad students, it's also the medical students as well. But we have students from over 2,000 different hometowns. Our campus, about 80,000 square meters. In general, the university is in a neighborhood called Ngomi. Most of the buildings at this point have been taken over by the university, but there still is a little bit of a natural neighborhood around. So you'll see a lot of like campus, but then you'll see some residential homes as well. Study environment, the student-focused teaching environment. So we have a low student to faculty teaching ratio, which we think is very important, as well as a wide range of lab infrastructure in a lot of our different departments. A lot of our US students do take advantage of taking courses that have labs at the university, so you do have access to those labs in those respects. Again, just kind of showing where our students come from. We have over 100 different programs, 6 schools, and 18 different departments. I'll just leave this up here for a second. I do like to say at this point, if anybody does want the downloaded version of this slideshow, I'll be happy to send this. So if you'd like to look deeper into not only the schools, but also we have links for the courses that are typically offered as well. It's very useful just to see, course-wise, if this will be a good fit for you as well. So with our programs, both semester and summer programs, they're pretty comprehensive in terms of what's included into the program fees. So the 2 big things that I do like to mention that are not included with the program fees, the food. So there is no meal plan at the university. With that being said, the area has been hyper developed for students. So if you have a full kitchen to cook in your residence, but there's all sorts of like grocery stores. The university does have a restaurant for like 6 or 7 euros. You can get a full meal. That's actually really, really good food. It's not like typical US cafeteria food. There's all sorts of shops and places like that to grab food. So food is not included, as well as your flight. We have students that are traveling from all over the country, so students book their own flight to and from the program. All right, so what's included into the program? Your tuition, obviously. The housing, I will argue that this is the nicest housing in study abroad. They're all single studio residences. I'll show you some pictures of those. Talk about those at the end. We have in-country weekend and day trip excursions. So these all take place on the weekend. Again, some are day trips, some are full weekends with hotel stays. All of that is included. If we're visiting any like museums or historical sites that have entrance fees, all that is included as well. Um, we have a team of coordinators in Cyprus. So we actually have a full team of people in Cyprus that work just with our US students. So they're there to help you if you need to find a doctor, or if you get locked out of your residence hall, you need to get a new swipe card. Whatever you need, they're there for you 24/7. They also do the full orientation on the ground. They do the welcome and farewell dinners. Um, Again, they're there for you if you need anything. You'll also receive a local cell phone as well. We lovingly call this our burner phones. It's not a smartphone, that's why. But it's really useful to keep in touch with the other students in the program as well as our coordinators. I do a lot of the pre-departure advising, and I also do pre-departure orientations as well. Insurance is also included into the programs. For semester programs in particular, this is where a lot of these opportunities are available. Internships and research opportunities are available in all of our departments. So if you are looking to intern or do any research assistance, those are available. If you do need extra credits, there is an extra fee for that. But if you need to like have a slight overload of a semester, you are able to do that. And of course, there's volunteer opportunities that we kind of handle on a one-by-one basis, as we do with internships and research as well. So you kind of let us know what you're looking for, what your interests are, and we'll help set those up for you. So for our semester and summer programs, there are some early deposit deadlines. Again, I'm not sure when everybody is looking to go abroad, but for the spring, if you are looking to go abroad in the spring, a couple things. One, if you get your application and program deposit in before August 15th, you do save $500 on the total cost of the program. However, I will say if you're looking for a spring program, so this would be spring of 2025, would be the next spring, we do fill up very quickly for our spring. We're pretty tight on our housing. Spring is our most popular semester for students to go abroad with us. This past spring, for spring of 2024, which just started weeks ago, the program had filled up in the first week of August. So again, if you are looking to study abroad in the spring with us, I definitely recommend getting started on the process, towards the end of the semester or early summer. For the summer, fortunately, our early deposit has passed already. That's January 15th. But if you're looking for a future summer program, if you apply and get your deposit in before the 15th of January, you do save $250 on the program fees as well. I mentioned that we have some excursions built into the program. I'll very briefly just kind of go over some of these areas where we get to visit. So obviously Nicosia, the first thing we like to do is show you the neighborhood of where you'll be living, show you the university so you can get your bearings. Then we take you downtown. Nicosia is a few different cities all in one. You definitely have that old city feeling in the top right and the bottom right picture and bottom middle picture. It's the old city of Nicosia. So you get those quaint, very tight, narrow streets that no US vehicle would be driving down, but the Europeans are able to with their smaller vehicles. But you'll get to really experience that deep history of the island. Then you go to the new city of Nicosia, which is actually connected in the bottom left picture by that piece of architecture. It's actually a bridge that connects the old and the new city. The new city is where a lot of the students tend to hang out at night and on the weekends. It's where a lot of the new shops have opened up. Again, big shopping district, lots of new restaurants, things like that. It's been completely pedestrianized over the last few years. So it used to be heavily trafficked. A lot of those roads have actually been closed off and they've been pedestrianized. So it's a lot more walkable. So we like to show you both parts of Nicosia. Limassol is the second largest city on the island. So as you can tell, it's on the coast. So you do have a nice mix of kind of like beach life and city life here. We do a day trip. You get to take this walk down this Limassol seafront, but we also visit some historical sites as well. On the bottom left-hand picture is an ancient Greek amphitheater that's been excavated that you actually get to check out. In the bottom picture in the middle is a castle. It's called Colossi Castle. So you get to hear a lot about the history of both of those places. Whenever we're doing anything of historical significance, we do have a professional guide that comes with us. So you're not just taking pictures of things that you don't really know what you're looking at or why you're seeing it. You really do get some cultural context and historical context as to why you're seeing it. Larnaca is the It's the place where the airport is, the largest airport on the island. This is where all of our students should be flying into. The airport code, in case you don't know, is LCA. So we do a day trip here as well. Again, as you can tell, it's on the seafront. There's a lot of historical significance here. So again, we have a professional guide that comes with us and really explains the different historical aspects of Larnaca. Paphos is one of the two weekend excursions. So during the weekend trips, again, hotel stays are included into the program, but also we have some built-in trips as well, just like the day trips on the weekend. Um, so we visit Aphrodite's Rock, which is the picture in the bottom left. So Greek mythology says that Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty, was actually born from the sea foam in Cyprus. So of course we have to show you Aphrodite's Rock. The picture in the bottom middle is a picture of an ancient mosaic. So they'd recently uncovered some ancient mosaics. This is part of the UNESCO World Heritage Sites. So we show you these areas, but at the same time, on the weekend trips, obviously you have a lot of time on your own to check things out that interest you. Our coordinators do go on these excursions with you. So if you have questions as to, what should I check out or what would you check out here, the coordinators are always happy to tell you what they like to see in all these different areas. Ayia Napa and Potoras, I mentioned the beach towns. About 20% of the top beaches in Europe are found on the island. A lot of those are found in this area, in this peninsula of Ayia Napa and Potoras. A lot of the tourists who visit Cyprus at some point are visiting this area as well. During the day, obviously, check out the beautiful beaches. You can swim through sea caves. You could hike through nature preserves. If you're certified to scuba dive, there is a famous wreckage off Ayia Napa. There's also an underwater museum as well, and there's a huge shopping district at night. Super vibrant nightlife as well. There's literally something to do all the time in Ayia Napa. As somebody who's been to Ayia Napa 30 times, 40 times, this is still such an awesome trip to go on to this day. One second here. There we go. The Troodos. All right. So the Troodos Mountains, another day trip. Most people don't think about snow when they think about Cyprus, but these mountains actually do get snow capped. I was told yesterday that it looks like the snow is just about gone from the mountains at this point, and it's still February, still very much winter where we are. But it does get snow capped in the summer months. It is about 15 to 20 degrees cooler, so obviously about 100 degrees in the summer everywhere else. So you go to the mountains for a little bit of reprieve from that heat. We do a day trip here, do a nice hike through the mountains, get some beautiful pictures. Visit some little villages, a little monastery, things like that. So it's a nice day trip. Kyrenia and Famagusta is another day trip in the northern portion of Cyprus. So again, you get to learn a lot about the history of those areas. All right, and then UNIC City. So a little bit about where you'll be living and the housing. So in your day-to-day, you don't need to take public transportation to get around. All these features that are listed on the left, so the supermarkets, medical centers, pharmacies, gyms, shopping centers, banks, you can read all that. Restaurants, bakeries, cafes, things like that. Everything is very walkable. Everything's in about a 5 to 10 minute walk at most. So you don't need to take buses to get to class. Typically, the furthest place that in the city that you're gonna be going, if you're gonna be taking buses or taxis, is to go downtown. It's about a 10 to 12 minute drive by bus or by taxi. With your student ID, I think it's €2 to get anywhere in the city with a bus. Taxis, students typically are splitting those with other students. So it's like a couple of euros to get downtown as well. A little bit specifically about the housing, again, very walkable from the university, 5 to 8 minute walk to get to anywhere on campus, really. The residences, they're all single studios, so you've got your own bedroom, bathroom, balcony, kitchen area. Everything is fully furnished. Lots of different amenities within the actual rooms themselves. They all have TVs. They all have, again, private balconies. The kitchens are furnished, so you don't need to bring things like pots and pans and dishes or pillows and blankets and linens. It is all there. Pretty much when students are coming, they're bringing their clothes and a laptop. So you can see a lot of different amenities, internet, of course, individually controlled heating and AC, desk, refrigerator, all that good stuff. This is why, you can see by the pictures, why I argue that this is the nicest housing in study abroad. Couple other things about the amenities within the buildings themselves. So they all have 24/7 security. So just like a lot of the US buildings now, they all have key fob entry to get in and into the room. Their study rooms, game rooms, they each have their own gym as well, which is really nice. There's a cafe in the bottom of 6, it's the largest residence hall. And at the top of that building, there's actually a restaurant. that I definitely recommend checking out because it has one of the nicest overlooks of Nicosia, I think, in all the city. And of course, there's laundry. So if you're looking to go for a semester program, um, you might look online and it's going to tell you that you need a visa. If you go specifically with our university, you do not need a visa. We have as long as you have a valid U.S. or Canadian passport, we have a special agreement with the Cypriot government that specifically our U.S. and Canadian students are not required to get visas, even though they will be abroad for longer than 90 days, which is very nice. This is just the travel authorization requirement starting from 2024. Some 1.4 billion people from over 60 visa exempt countries are required to have travel authorization to enter most European countries. From what I've heard, this is a very simple thing. So essentially, if you want to do independent travel when you're in Cyprus, which most of our semester students do, they take advantage of that. You essentially need it's a very quick process, but I think it's like $7 or $8. And it's just like a quick visa to enter these European countries. It's nothing too difficult. Independent travel, going off of that, most people do ask this question, can I do independent travel from Cyprus? It's an island. The answer is yes. Again, almost all of our students, our semester students, do independent travel. It's very inexpensive and it's pretty quick to get to continental Europe from Cyprus. So these are the most popular visited countries for our students. I will say that students come back from like long weekends, or if they're there for spring, from their long spring break, they'll tell us all the countries that they visited and how cheap it was. I can tell you from firsthand experience, I visited a lot of these countries from Cyprus, and most of the flights are under 100 euros round trip. So it's very cheap to kind of jet set, check out continental Europe from Cyprus. So I'll just leave this up here for a second. If anybody does want to take this information down, this is how to get in touch with us. That contact number will ring directly. Number one will ring directly to me. If I'm not available, somebody will take a message for me. The admissions email is our whole team that works with U.S. students. So if you have a question, that's a great place to email because one of us will have an answer for you. And then globalsemesters.com is where our applications live for our U.S. study abroad students. So if you are looking to apply, obviously first you apply through your school to study abroad to get accepted to study abroad. Then you'll go ahead and apply to us to study abroad on this specific program. Again, that application is at globalsemesters.com. So go ahead and stop sharing my screen now. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask.